The biological, social, and emotional design of everyone does not allow for open relationships to succeed. Let's look into it.
Have you ever felt like you're no longer acting as an individual, but always thinking about being faithful to your partner? And you can't help but think, does this come from a place of love, freedom, and security? Or does it come from a place of ownership, jealousy?
My name is Casey. I'm the Rumble Ride Dad, and I've been a therapist for 13 years, and I have seen the trend towards open relationships that have come about in media and throughout our culture, and I want to try to tell the truth from the psychology about this. Polyamory was entered into the Oxford English Dictionary in 2006, and it has been highly reputed within media that it is a great arrangement, and we're taking the blank slate ideology, which says that we were born as these blank slates and we're only nurtured into certain aspects of our character as people. And so why not? If you're just a clean slate, why couldn't you just add a third person to your relationship and have that be ecumenical with other relationships? Well, there are reasons, and part of it is because we've not evolved to be able to allow for those thruples without severe jealousy, which is adaptively not going to be good for your relationship.
Throuple with my partners, Gabby and Eli.
And I'm back with a part 2 of how we told our children that we have an open marriage.
Today was my first Father's Day living with my 2 stepkids who came into my family through my partner's saga. I didn't grow up imagining I'd be a dad in a polyamorous family.
As a polyamorous woman married to a monogamous man, I get asked a lot, how does your husband let you date other men?
And because we didn't want to break up no happy home and leave children without a father, anything like that, we thought that it would be best that we all just be together.
Men evolve sexual jealousy in order to avoid investing in other men's offspring, obviously. Women evolve sexual jealousy in order to provide for the protection of their children long term, obviously. This mismatch of expectations makes poly arrangements or open marriages or open relationships severely volatile. And it's not just a negative feeling, it is an adaptive historical preservation of the nuclear family structure, because at the very least, throughout time, there is evidence that the monogamous relationship has better outcomes. And by the way, if you want the species to survive, or if you want your children to be healthy, a non-biological person, adult within the family unit at home is the way that kids get abused the most. There's a reason why the evil stepmother is a real trope in media. Open relationships conflict with women's deep-rooted psychological needs. They instinctively seek reliable partners who provide safety, stability, and support. The strategic pluralism model notes that women might find genetically desirable mates attractive. Their long-term interests lean toward security and invested partners. All you have to do is look at my wife and how beautiful she is to know that it's not just physical attractiveness that will ultimately compel a woman to be attracted to a man.
Mama loves Jules, and Jules loves Mama. It really is that simple, at least for now.
There is a lot of emotional ambiguity within open relationships, and this leads to a lot of gray lines and a lot of fluidity when it comes to the affections that make people feel secure in relationships. And so really we're baiting and switching and trying to find ways to plug in and just say that this is normal, when in fact, not only is it not normal, there's a reason it's an aberration. Although some people make claims that up to 80% of cultures allow for open relationships. Find me the one that's most successful and tell me that it's not just a completely patriarchal manipulation by a culture who's just domineering and dominated by the man and the masculine, because ultimately it's probably somebody from a culture that you really don't want to replicate. And so you can cite whatever percentages that you want that throughout history there was polyamory. Well, that was a survival tactic potentially thousands of years ago, when men were going to battles and going to war and dying and fighting off all of these things, risk-taking behaviors that caused them to no longer be available. So a woman was a resource that ultimately was able to bear children, and so men sometimes would need to spread themselves thin, so to speak.
Transient sexual interaction in order to sleep around casually. And I think that once you establish that as a habit with sex, which is a deep experience, if you'll do that with sex, which is a deep experience, then, and you learn how, then what makes you think that won't transfer to everything else that you do?
Media may be pushing polyamory, but evolutionary psychology pulls us back toward monogamy. The reason is that the push for polyamory in pop culture isn't a reflection of progress, but detachment from nature. For the average person, polyamory is not just impractical, it's biologically incoherent. And so you can try an open relationship, but it's just opening the door to suffering, jealousy, and these jealousy feelings are adaptive. They're there for a reason. Listen to your brain when it's telling you that I should actually try to protect my relationship with this partner because they're over here hugging, kissing, or doing whatever they're doing on someone else. That ultimately is not adaptively healthy, good, or right for us as humans who want to thrive. If you would like more common sense advice from a therapist who's been doing this a long time and holds conservative values, please like, share, and subscribe. And I appreciate so much your support.